always listening and I'm like, oh, I didn't know, not everybody knows what people do or like who they are, right?
I try to have them introduce themselves.
I know, but sometimes you go right and see that, I'm sorry, I shouldn't critique.
You can critique. I value feedback from everybody.
It's being recorded.
So that we know for future
We'll put
reference.
this in
But I think what we should do, so I think, how about, we're going to start over, but we'll let you both take it.
Oh,
And you do the,
No, we don't want to wing it.
you know
We're not
what?
winging it
You know
today.
what?
You guys are being the
No.
wingers.
we'll pretend to be you.
We've done podcasts. We got this. We've done this before.
You're going to be Brad, so remember, Kris.
Kristen.
Let's go. Yeah, there you go. All right. You guys doing it?
Yeah.
It's already recording. Both.
How do we start?
You have
Kris
to,
starts, he does the intro.
yes, so that's you. You're Kris. You're Brad.
I don't know how the podcast got, being really honest.
You can do it. I hear it in my head, like I hear your voice and like your
Oh.
tone, but
Just all you have to, okay, so all you have to do is she'll say a little speech and she'll say, I'm your co-host, Kristen. And you say, this is Mary.
Okay.
And this episode was
Kristen.
recorded on October 19th,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
2023. Kristen. Then you start
This
going
would be
into a
amazing.
monologue. Go, here we are at day 3 of Community Summit.
All right.
And with us today, we have,
Brad and Kris.
Yes.
Do we have to say last names? Because I'm not good with last
no,
names.
we don't have to
just
say
Mary.
last names. We usually
And then we're gonna ask them. We got this.
okay.
This is
Welcome to our podcast today. I'm your co-host, Kristen Hosman, and here I am with Mary.
Nice.
That's not how it starts.
Now you messed it up.
Welcome to Dynamics Corner. I'm your co-host, Kristen.
And I'm Mary. Welcome to day 3 of Dynamics Community Summit. Today, we're making it alive. I don't know what we're doing anymore. We got the recording.
Kristen.
Welcome to Dynamics Corner. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Mary. We're recording this episode today on October 19th, 2023. Kristen. We are here at day 3 of Community Summit.
And we're joined today with Brad and Kris.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. We're so happy to be on this podcast with you.
Thank you.
We're glad you guys are here. Tell us, please, how has your Community Summit experience been?
To be honest, it's been overwhelming. There is so much information and there are so many things to do that I'm having a hard time keeping up with it. And all of the valuable information, with me being an old goat, is falling out of my head.
What are some tips that you do? Like when you say that you have too much information, do you take notes? Like what is your approach to consuming information while you're at a conference?
First, I use the app and I try to plan my schedule accordingly.
Very nice.
It's sometimes difficult because of all of the valuable information that's being presented. There are competing sessions,
Tracks.
so that's a little difficult for me. But when I'm going through the sessions to keep and retain some of the information, I do as you had stated. I try to keep a OneNote list of notes with some of the high points of what I would like to remember. And then I also will put down any references for me to look up afterwards. Sometimes it's difficult to keep it all, but if I at least have an index map of where to go back to,
It helps.
it can help me out.
I try to use OneNote a lot of times whenever I'm in sessions like that, but I get kind of carried away with watching the session. And then I go back and I look at my OneNotes and I've got like 4 words here, 4 words here. So I was just curious if you had a different approach.
Then you take those photos. Yeah, but it has been overwhelming.
Screens.
I do take photos as well, and I will put them into the OneNote and try to organize them as well.
Yeah, that's perfect. How about you, Kristen?
Well, I think the highlight for me was this morning. I had a session at 8:30. It was super early, the first one of the morning, and it was pretty well attended, by some newer users. We had about 20 folks in there, and almost about 76%, I believe, were brand new to BC the last 6 months.
Oh, wow.
I agree with that because I had a fast chat yesterday, and I would say 90% of my attendees were all GP moving to Business Central.
Very
It was
interesting.
pretty impressive. I just like one person that was in NAV moving to Business Central, and another company was doing Business Central.
What was the session?
It was one of the fast chats about what to do after go live, and then followed. I have a following fast chat. It was what to do before go live, which should have been flipped, but I'll take it.
They'll take it.
I'll take it.
great. For me, this is actually my first summit.
Really?
So it's, people are usually surprised by that, but it's my very first summit, so it's very exciting to be here. But for me, I'm seeing everything new for the first time, so I don't know, like a comparison. I would be curious to know from the content section, how, or do you think that there have been any differences or changes, maybe from the last time that you were at Summit or like over the years into like the tracks and sessions that they're showing now compared to before, like mixes? Curious your thoughts on that.
I think there's a lot more content this year, and there's a lot more focus in some of the areas. Really, people moving from other ERP system to Business Central, and sometimes some of the classes feel like, especially if you're in the space for so long, that it sounds like it's too easy kind of classes, but then you don't realize that there are, since like 63% are new to business, new to Summit, and seeing that attendance showing up, and it's not so easy because to them it's brand new.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah, I think over the years, this year feels a little bit different because I'm really focusing more on the BC side than the GP side. And we do have Microsoft here at this conference on the BC side, and Soren did a presentation this morning. The room was packed.
Yeah.
And it was a tips, really, type of session. And those always do really well. The room's packed and people flowing out the door, So those types of sessions do excite. But what's even more exciting is just the amount of users who are on GP that are here this year attending the BC sessions. Go ahead.
Yes, I think it's interesting. Well, the Community Summit is not just a BC-centric conference. There are F&O or FNSEM and whatever you want to call it. You have the GP group, you have the CRM group as well. So I forgot the question, but I'm going to keep on talking.
I was just kind of curious. It's interesting here. I was curious. I was kind of maybe baiting a question a little bit too, or it's interesting to see. Maybe it's still not quite there yet because, as you're saying, there's different tracks. We have GP, we have BC, there's F&O or whatever we're calling that at the time. CRM, CE, whatever we're calling that at the time. But there's more of a. Again, I don't know from previous years, but it seems, I believe that there is an actual Power Platform track here.
Yes,
as well.
There is.
And so I was curious, is this the first year? I think I know that there was a little one last year, or didn't seem to be super, so curious, when did that come into play? Do you think, I was going to say if you thought it had a bigger presence this year, but clearly not.
Yeah, it's been around for a couple of years. I know at least the last 3 Summit. Yes, it's starting to grow, all the tracks are coming together. But initially, yeah, it was really heavy on the ERP side of things.
Cool.
BI starting to come in with that, the analytics. And then because of the Power Platform with the Automate and Power Virtual Agents, it's starting to grow with that track. And I think that's great. I think it's under 6,000 attendees, which is pretty impressive.
That's a lot more than I thought that it was. I thought it was like 4,500 or something. It's one of the larger conferences. So I think it's larger than Directions. My feel is it seems to be larger than Directions. Obviously larger than some other events. But then I was at Power Platform Conference last week, and there was like 6,000, or maybe I think there was close to 7,000 people there. And it does. I don't know if it seemed quite, so I'm surprised by the numbers because it seems like they're almost the same,
As far as I know, that's the numbers that I was aware.
That's a number of all attendees, and it is larger than Directions because Community Summit is a customer, end user.
Makes sense.
A conference for customers by customers.
Yeah.
Where Directions is partner-centric, so it's a much smaller group
Makes
in general.
sense.
And I think this year, your question about the content, it does seem like there's quite a bit more content. The number of sessions that they have for each track, I think there were 110 for Business Central. I'm assuming they had that rather equal across the other tracks as well. So it does feel like there's a lot more. And having, I think some of you mentioned Power Platform. I think Power Platform, Kris had mentioned, has been around for a few years. But I think it's now, and it takes time for it to get traction. If you have a large conference in Las Vegas where you had mentioned Power Platform, it's very easy to have publicity and to
Yeah.
publicize it, and people would like to go to Vegas for that type of conference. But I
Right.
think here, as the years progress and Power Platform in this ecosystem, individuals that have Business Central, they have GP, or they have F&O, FCM, may also branch into Power Platform. So I think that's more of an augment of
Yep.
what they have for an implementation versus coming specifically for that. But as time progresses, that pool may grow or in size, and then people will come specifically for Power Platform versus sort of a straddling between more than
Yeah.
one track.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I was just telling someone this morning, we're on day 3, and I've spent a lot of time in the expo, as you guys have as well. And I'm still seeing people that I haven't seen, in 2.5 days.
Yes, I thought the same thing too. Earlier, I saw Mark Rhodes. I saw him in the hallway earlier. Normally, that's somebody you see like on the first day, welcoming committee coming in. I was like you say, day 3, and I'm just now seeing you. It's crazy.
That is true, because E1, good friends over there, I didn't see him until like the second day.
Right.
And we've been here since Saturday. Of course they came in Monday, Tuesday, but still, you would think that you'd see him the first day.
Right.
Certainly not.
There are a lot of people. There's a lot to take in. So I think a lot of people are partaking in the sessions. So it is difficult to see people. I saw some people here day 3 that I was, okay, you're here? There are obviously sometimes you plan, you coordinate, that there are people you want to speak with, but those others that in the community, I ran into some today that I wasn't certain would be here or not.
Yeah.
So may I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
What is your highlight of the conference been so far? So here we are, day 3.
Yep.
We missed the day 2 recap because who knows?
Too
what
much
happened.
fun.
Too much fun.
Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, too much fun. So what has been your highlight of the conference so far?
So the highlight for me was yesterday I got to spend some time with the TechFluent group. TechFluent is a nonprofit organization that is working to empower and upskill some underprivileged individuals that have recently immigrated into this country that basically they've been in a tech space before where they're from, they're highly educated, but that's moving into America and trying to get into the Microsoft space can be quite difficult, right? So there's this 15-week-long program where these students go through 200 hours worth of training and get Microsoft certified so that they can, essentially get into the market space here. And so some groups were amazing and made sponsorships and scholarships for 13 graduates that got to travel and come to Summit here to
Wow.
network. Sorry, I get emotional. I'm so excited for
great.
them. Where they get to network and try to get jobs, right? They're trying to take the next step in things. So yesterday I got to spend some time with them because I've been working with them through their training and stuff. So I got to meet them all in person, and we spent a whole hour just at lunch, just catching up and hearing how their community, experience has gone, and then we walked the expo hall and kind of explain to them how do you go and approach people, how do you talk to these booths, how do you try to position yourself to show that you're a really valuable person that could be for their company. So it was just the warmest, most exciting thing to see everyone's smile on their faces when they were, because it's scared to talk to people at first, right? And especially when you're so new, and I'm so just trying to explain this stuff to them. And so they we get to this one booth and I'm pushing them, go talk to this person, go talk to this person. I'm literally pushing them and giving them these assignments, but they were following through because they're so hardworking, and then by the next booth they were getting it, so they were really excited, and I just really was loving to be able to spend that time with them and see them grow. Is a really long answer.
No, that is amazing. I like to hear programs about that, and I have a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
The first question, I want to go back to, I'd like to hear about programs like that because I mentioned before, you hear of individuals coming to the country and they may be English as a second language.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What you said on that, just because they have a difficult time communicating with the language doesn't mean they don't know or they're not capable of performing the function for an ERP implementation or for development or some of the technical tracks. And a lot of people discount their ability because they can't use English as a second language, but they sometimes are very well skilled. And the programs that help promote that and make people aware that the spoken language, yes, you need to communicate, yes, you can learn it over time, but you still have the technical ability to perform business functions or development functions. This group was it specific towards a particular product, platform, or technology?
So they have been in those training, they have been trained on CE and every component of the Power Platform. So they have Power Pages, Power Automate, Power Apps, Power Virtual Agent training. They've gone through all of those courses. And so I've done the Power Automate training for them and the Power Virtual Agent training for them. And there's other mentors and MVPs that, kind of cover like the other spaces. And in addition to these what we'll call technical trainings that they're having, they're also learning soft skills as well, right? To make sure that they're like the utmost, standard consultants, and that they, they're insanely skilled. That's what I tell them when we're walking. I'm like, you guys, I know that it feels intimidating, but you don't realize that the skill sets that you have, you are more qualified than a lot of people out there, than a lot of people that are working at those places. I said, and that's how we're going to, this is what we need to be telling them, that you are insanely, certified and qualified. And somebody asked me, they said it's hard for us because, English isn't, our first, English is our second language. And I said, that's okay. Do you know how many people out in that expo hall are not from here either? It's not their first language either. And it's okay.
And I will say there's a lot of people out there that English is their first language and you can't tell.
They struggle.
So it's not, I like to see that type because, I don't know, maybe it's my old age, but it's just so much easier just to be a good person and to help people. Yeah, it's just so much easier to, there are people who are trying, there are people who want and they're hungry, and, to give them a chance and they can turn out. I've worked with people before and I've seen firsthand, just give somebody a chance sometime and they bloom to be one of the, most, I don't even know how to phrase it, they most successful at what they do. And a lot of time, with that gratitude, they turn around and it becomes contagious. They themselves become and mentor somebody else, and then that multiplies and multiplies and multiplies, and then you just have a world of good people at the end, is my hope. So what about you? What was your favorite? I don't mean to take over the interviews on your podcast.
Yeah, we need to.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the Tech Fluent, because I actually have mentored, but in a different way. I've never done the training, but I've mentored to help set up LinkedIn profiles and different things like that, right? But we walked into the keynote the other morning and we were sitting up front and the whole Tech Fluent crew saw us. And I didn't know every single one of them like Mary does, but they all knew us, so that was pretty cool. But besides that, for me, the biggest highlight is the expo.
Yeah.
We have the most sponsors ever in Summit history here this week. And walking the expo and seeing all the different products and, some of my GP friends, are building their product for BC and talking with them about that. It's just exciting. And I feel the energy and everybody's pumped and excited about it. And it'll be interesting to see next year, I think, San Antonio.
Yes.
I think that's what was announced. San Antonio, Texas next year. Yeehaw! We're going to wear cowboy hats.
I was going to say, are you bringing your shit kickers?
I absolutely will bring my,
Shin kickers.
cowboy boots.
The cowboy boots, yeah.
Yes, I think we should get big belt buckles.
Yeah.
Cowboy boots.
Dynamics corner.
Yes, yes, we should do that. We need to have pins for next year.
Our goal was banner 2024.
Yeah,
They're
have to have a banner next year.
if you do the buckle idea in Texas, you got to watch out for those buckle bunnies.
It's a buckle bunny.
He's like, what is a buckle bunny?
What is a buckle bunny?
It's the girls who follow the rodeo scene and go after the bull riders. All the buckle bunnies.
Similar.
Oh my gosh.
I've never heard of a buckle bunny.
That's the first term I've ever heard.
So maybe
Now-
I shouldn't wear. Go ahead.
Wait till you're in Florida hurricane season, because then they have bucket bunnies.
What is a buckle bunny?
Bunny.
Similar to belt funny, except for it's for the linemen that go up in the buckets. They come down. They come down to fix the power. And they all make a lot of money, and their wives are at home, and they're like down there for like several weeks. And so like it's a whole thing.
This is, and the funny thing about that is none of that ever crossed my mind.
That's the first time.
This is what happens when Mary and Kristen help host.
Your show.
Well, I
Things are
think
gonna go right.
We're gonna make it.
from what I've heard prior to our recording, with all the instruction that we received, I think it should be your show.
Should you have your own segment?
Well, maybe some other time.
We're willing to help out anytime.
What's your favorite part of Summit been?
Surprisingly, I mean, the sessions that I've, had an opportunity to speak, I didn't realize the amount of GP people in the attendance. I had no idea. And, we don't get this statistics of, where they're coming from.
Right.
In each classes. So I tried to ask.
Right.
And seeing a lot more hands raised that GP customers asking about Business Central. It's
Asking.
crazy.
Well, and it makes sense, right? Because I mean, are they worried? Are they frustrated? There's probably a bunch of different things, right? Because I think some people are like, oh gosh, what are we going to do? Because they hear maybe something's going to happen. Like, are they always going to be on GP or not? So I would think that maybe that's some things. And then I would also imagine that some people are like, give me all the automation, give me the cloud, give me that type of stuff. So I think it's probably, I don't know. It's very interesting.
I think so.
Mike Morton had a fireside chat yesterday in the GP general session. And, some things may have been said last year, and he really cleared the air yesterday. He said, look, if you're on GP today, you're always going to be able to get more licenses. But in a couple years, we're going to stop selling licenses to new customers trying to implement the product, right? So I think with that being said, the message that Microsoft is sending is, hey, BC is logically the next step, and we're going to continue to support GP in a sense of giving, security updates and like the IRS updates and different things like that. But, as I say to people, I see the writing on the wall. And to me, it's very clear that, Microsoft is wanting people to go to the cloud, sooner than later, obviously. But I guess the question that I would ask is, can the partners even handle
The
that
transition.
much, the transition, that much work? Like, can we even handle that?
Well, my question would be, how quickly is the partner channel growing? I feel like there's a lot of new partners going there.
There are
is
a
one thing.
lot of new partners.
Also, I don't think it's just a switch from, I don't think it's only a GP to BC move. I don't think that all of that influx is going to go just on BC partners. Because not all, you think about all of the GP systems out there and super customized and different things like that. Not every GP partner is suitable for BC. Some of them really do need to go to F&O or some type of, operation like that. So I don't know the percentage. I would say that there's probably my very, aqua colored, glasses say, the majority of people will want to go to Business Central, especially when you use things like the Power Platform to make it, better and more extensible to meet their needs. But there will always be some production levels and things where people are using on GP that they need to be in F&O. So I don't think when we're saying like that partner spread, I think that some of it will go elsewhere too.
You're not wrong there, because there's going to be, like you said, specific needs where, okay, BC is not the way to go, and which is okay. And I think there's going to be a percentage of drop, from people coming from GP to, Business Central. So, but it is exciting that this community is, being put together by all users and volunteers, making sure that they have the content, they have the education that they need to make the right decision.
Absolutely. And I think, there's a lot of like GP, I think there was even a GP to BC session. Like, I think those are always like very interesting. What I think makes this community really, really rich is that you have a lot of people that have the skill set that knows the differences between a GP to BC. Honestly, I think that's one of the reasons why Kristen is so successful, is because you're taking such a product like GP, right? Like, there's tons and tons of like users in the history on that, and being able to kind of like guide and help and be able to meet them at that point of empathy, right? As we're making this change management, change is hard. But if you know somebody, if you're working with somebody that's like was on GP, knows GP, then they can kind of give you the ins and outs, right? Like the translations to
have
like
some
Business
trust
Central.
so that you can relate, and you
Yep.
can also be relatable to them, so they understand where you can give them, well, you have this in GP, now in BC you can do it this way, so it helps them feel a little more comfortable with the implementation versus.
Somebody that's new and has no clue what GP was.
Correct.
Sorry, I didn't mean to catch you there.
No, you didn't. I interrupt everybody.
I get so
too,
excited.
I get excited too, but I'm
the
enjoying. You're the host, so you can. Yes.
Pull you off.
Oh.
So when is everyone going home?
I'm
And-
leaving Friday afternoon. I have one more session on the last day. Then I'm in a day, half the day of Summit. So
Excellent.
our platform.
I am departing this evening, therefore I will not have the opportunity to participate in the recap tomorrow. But I need you all to promise to me you will do a recap, because there is a certain event that's happening this evening that I want to hear the recap of.
Oh,
And I don't want to say it. I mean, it will be recorded when there will be have passed by the time this recording has been released, but we'll have another episode, and I want to hear all about it, and I hope to see costumes as well from the event
Let me
tonight.
get my tiara.
Send us photos and we'll plaster it on.
When are you leaving?
Tomorrow at like 5.
Nice.
We're all leaving around the same time.
yeah, yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
I'm sad.
Missed out, man.
I did miss out, but unfortunately.
I'll see you on the flip side though. I'll see you in Florida.
Absolutely. I need to have some golf lessons, so
Yep.
looking forward.
We're going to host another golf tournament next year in San Antonio. I was talking to some gentlemen about it yesterday. So you got to be ready for next
have a
year.
year.
The dynamic, you got
a year.
1 year, maybe we
You're gonna, and Kristen's killer. You're gonna have to watch out for her.
we can get a sticker or something to put on the golf cart, a magnet.
For Dynamics Corner.
Yes.
We need to branch out.
Sponsors.
Maybe we can
Co-sponsors.
sponsor a hole.
Yeah, single.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
That's what you need to do.
Oh, and then I can take the sponsors. I love this idea. So we can actually do a golf tournament and have people sponsor holes. And then I want to take the money that we earn from the hole sponsorships and put them into programs like TechFluent.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
That's
idea.
wonderful.
Fantastic.
We actually have to all high five on this right
That's
now.
great. I missed this side of the table.
So y'all, we were gonna go
do this.
like, yeah.
So uncoordinated.
We don't know how to do
The
this.
bloopers are so rich.
Well, we don't have any bloopers. We just roll with it. So,
Roll with it.
So I think you can wrap it up now.
So with that being said, I think we all need to grab some coffee and a nap and get ready for night 3.
T Swift.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.